I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cultworthy. I'm your host, Antonio, and returning to the show after about a year's worth of time, which is way too long, but that's my fault for trying to get like fresh new faces on the show and then forgetting about my old friends until they have me on their show, which I think this will come out before yours. You're doing Superman 2 eventually. This will come out before that. But before we get into all that, let's reintroduce my good friends, Scott and Frankie of Shoot the Flick. Welcome back, guys.
Woo.
Hey!
Happy to be back.
It's always good to be back.
I know. You know, and that's the thing that I've been saying a lot lately is I thought I was like bigger than I really am, and I went after like celebrities and special guests and speakers and stuff. And I'm not going to lie, that was fun, but at the same time, they sound so rehearsed. Like they do this all the time. They just come on to shows and say the same thing. And when I've listened to them on other shows, I'm like, oh, they told that story on that show and that story on that show. But it's always fun with the people that you kind of work through the trenches with, right? Coming up together as podcasters, that we don't need celebrities. We can just rely on each other to make each other laugh and have a good time.
It's always interesting, like, having done interviews with random people throughout the years. It's always an interesting thing when you get the person to be real. But yeah, they've done it so many times that it's really hard to get a real thing. We're just us. Okay,
we're just us. You know, and I think I had like an existential crisis. That's why I took like a little bit of a break with this show, because I felt like one of those people that get paid to talk great about a film coming out in the theaters, and it's not that great. You know, it's like A24's newest film is the best thing you've seen all year. I'm like, I don't want to be that asshole. Let's talk about movies like Superman 2, or movies like we're talking about today, Young Guns 2.
Ah, yes.
Oh man.
I mean, it goes to the old story of like, is the sequel better than the original? Is it a superior sequel? Now, I don't want to give too much away about our Superman 2 conversation. Let's just say that some people like it better than the first one in this room, and some people don't like it better. But I'm going to go out and just say right now that Young Guns 2, in my opinion,
Oh God, I'm scared.
is a superior sequel.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh, no. Antonio, no.
But
This is gonna be interesting.
Antonio.
But let me explain why. Because it's total bullshit, and they own it. If you own the bullshit, I will respect the fuck out of you.
This is why I love coming on here.
Right. It's like why I think that Superman 3 is the best Superman, in my opinion, because they own the bullshit.
I don't want to agree that they own the bullshit, though. I agree that it's bullshit. I don't agree they own the bullshit. But we'll get into it.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting, because I figure like we're gonna come at this at three very different angles,
which is fun.
It's gonna be very interesting because I unironically love this movie and the original, and it's why I do love the first one more. I have them very close to being on par with each other.
Okay, I will agree with you on that. It's very close. I'd say it's by half a star, in my opinion, right?
Yep.
Like,
Young Guns. That's true.
Young Guns is a 4-star movie for me. I give this one 4.5, which for me, I'm not sure if I've ever had this conversation with you guys. Frankie's back there freaking the fuck out.
I'm dying back here.
my whole
4.5.
I don't want to come off as like a pretentious film snob, right? I mean, I'm a cult movie guy. there's some 5-star winners, there's some 1-star losers. But for me, when I leave a review on Letterboxd, my whole basis of those reviews is rewatchability.
Yep.
If it's on my shelf, and both are on my shelf, or if I just want to watch it impulsively, I can't give it a lower score than another film. I have to give it a higher one. I will watch Young Guns 2 pretty much any time of the day. But Young Guns 1, I kind of feel like I have to be in the mood for. I don't know what it is. I think there's just more that speaks to my 80s baby, early 90s adolescent brain because this was my Young Guns, right? This is one I saw in the theater. This is one I had the soundtrack to. MTV played Blaze of Glory 30 times a day. John Bon Jovi in those tight pants on a cliffside. Like, I mean, come on. It was made for me. So I think that is why I appreciate it and like it just a little bit better.
Okay, do you want to jump in there?
Okay, I'll say for me, just to give some context. So on our show, Shoot the Flick, our general premise is every week we show each other a new movie. Husband and wife introducing each other to new flicks, right? So Scott had shown me both Young Guns and Young Guns 2 on our show. And I think both of them, I think you're right in saying that both of them are kind of close in quality. I personally, I would say that both of them are mixed bags. Perhaps the first Young Guns is less of a mixed bag than the second one.
Well, it takes itself more serious.
The second one or the first one?
The first one.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure. The second one is, it's definitely, oh man, I don't know. It's a lot. And we're going to talk about it. I do think that there are things that are completely fucking insane. But it seems like they're trying to take it serious at parts too, when it really shouldn't at all. And then the second one, also, like, there's so many people in it. And so many are underused. Like I said in our review of Young Guns 2, I believe, that when you're watching a movie and you say the words, they're really not utilizing Alan Ruck enough. That's how you know that you're in trouble.
Are you sure? Did they use Alan Ruck enough in Speed? Asking for a friend.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
So I love these two movies, as I said before. The thing about this is I love them both together, and actually it reinforced it because we rewatched these movies because we knew we were coming on to do Antonio's show. So we rewatched both Young Guns and Young Guns 2 literally over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching them back to back.
They work really well together. They do.
And I think Emilio Estevez shows so much growth from the first movie to the second movie, and he really finds the Billy the Kid character.
Mm-mm.
And
no,
you can know all you want.
Just sit over here and know in my head, really loud in my head. I'm so sorry.
I just think it's really good, and I think there's a reason. Like, you really don't connect like Emilio. Personally, I don't really connect him with anybody else but Billy the Kid in my head.
Oh, like in his total career?
Yeah.
I would say that's definitely where I'm at too. I'd say between this character and then his character in The Breakfast Club, those are like my Emilio movies. Everything else, Emilio is just kind of like in it, but this is like his. I mean, he even thinks so. He's been trying to get Young Guns 3 made forever. We'll have that conversation
I just
later.
Googled it like over the weekend just to see, because we freaking reviewed the first movie years ago, and they were talking about Young Guns 3. And they're still talking about it. I
remember you talking about it in your episode, yeah.
And when I Googled it, it's like just the other day, it was like, oh, they're going to be filming in New Mexico in the fall. And I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know, man. Because who the hell is clamoring, besides maybe you two, for Young Guns 3? I mean, a remake seems like more of like the obvious choice to do. But I feel like Emilio Estevez is ego couldn't possibly entertain such a thing.
Well, in the same breath, no offense to Emilio, Lou Diamond Phillips, and even Kiefer, he's not coming back.
Kiefer's not even coming back.
None of them are really doing anything of like super note. Like Lou Diamond Phillips has been on a couple episodes of TV.
Well, yeah, they're not.
The last thing I saw Emilio in was as a side character on 2.5 Men.
Okay, that's
right.
insane.
Like,
because who talks about 2.5 Men anymore?
Nobody. That's the point. Like nobody. None of these guys are really doing anything.
I get
except
you.
Christian Slater, who was on Mr. Robot.
Christian Slater just got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and yet he is underused in this movie.
Is he though? So here's the thing that kind of freaked me out. Well, this isn't Christian Slater's movie, and if you think about like the time frame, this is like almost peak Slater, right? Like he's already been in Heathers.
Love Heathers.
He's already done Cuffs, I believe. So it's a little bit of a side part, but at the same time, I feel like we're still kind of like at the tail end of the Brat Pack era. They've all kind of gone their own separate directions, but this is kind of like, in a way, I think they're trying to create a new Brat Pack, like bring in the next generation. And that's why we have Balthazar Getty in it. We have Alan Ruck in it, Christian Slater in it. I think that for when this came out, we got to think about like the pop culture frame of mind of this era. So Emilio Estevez was with Paula Abdul during this time.
Oh my God.
Kiefer Sutherland was engaged to Julia Roberts at this time. So
that
like,
I knew.
This is like a major time frame of this particular group of young actors where I feel like their pop culture relevance outweighed the movies they were in.
Oh, yeah,
and this kind of is like the epitome of it.
Yeah, I think when we did Young Guns 2, I think we said Kiefer had done like 5 movies this year.
He'd been in a bunch of movies. And Lou Diamond Phillips, I think, had just done Stand and Deliver and like La Bamba. Like they were both in like a really prime time in their career too. So
because I think at some point there was like rumors that neither of them were going to come back.
Right. They thought their story was kind of told. And in a sense, Young Guns 1 doesn't really leave an open ending for a sequel,
it
right?
Really
like
doesn't,
they kind of have like a bookend. No, it's kind of this is kind of a forced sequel because it's money. And sometimes, especially in this day and age that we're speaking about in the 90s, I'm all for it. Like, RoboCop 2 is not a better movie than RoboCop, but it's fun as hell and it's just a money grabber, right?
Oh yeah.
This is the same thing. Under Siege 2 Dark Territory. I think that's another funny one because it's not a great sequel, but it's not a terrible movie, but it's just a cash grab with only one real star, Steven Seagal. Everyone else is kind of like B movie, TV movie, Katherine Heigl as a kid, right? Like no one really cared, but it was worth spending, let's say, half the budget on a sequel just to try and get some money out of it. I loved movies like that of this era because I feel they gave them a little bit more tender loving care than the shoddy sequels we get of intellectual properties today. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I think the love and care was definitely present. And I think also, like, even though they were doing a lot of shit at the time, it does seem like they all are genuinely, like, friends and they wanted to, like, make a movie together because it was just fun, like, them all hanging out and riding horses and shit together. So that comes across for sure. But I mean,
but it also looks better. Like, I think this film looks better than the first one. It's got, like, more sweeping shots, more helicopter shots and crane shots. Like, cinematically, I think it's better, personally.
Yes, the camera work and all that stuff, I do agree, is better.
I didn't like the score, though. But I think I said that when we did it on our show.
I think the score...
It's very 90s.
It is very 90s.
Friggin' Alan Silvestri just, like, giving leftover, like, scraps from Back to the Future 3 and throwing it in this movie. I'm like, ugh, no.
But there are definitely things that are better in this. And I do... It's very funny because when we talked about this movie, the whole story of the criminal who is bought into his own hype, who then starts realizing he's run his course. Like, his time is
at
coming
age
to
21.
Yeah, basically. His time is coming to an end. The walls are closing in. There is nowhere to run. Is a good story.
It's a great story. And this is why I forgive a lot of its bullshit too. Because they do something that I generally don't like in movies, and that's have like the old man version of a character, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, if you're about to defend this, I'm about to bow out.
I'm not going to defend the idea of it. I'm going to defend why this movie works the way it does. Because essentially, this movie is revisionist history. Because we don't know 100%. We're left to be inconclusive. That Brushy Bill is Billy the Kid, even though it's played by Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, that doesn't help, really.
Well, no, what I think it helps is that like people complain, it's like, oh, well, the real Chavez didn't die. The real Doc didn't die. They're changing all the stories, stuff like that. I think that that's a creative way the writers were able to make this revisionist history story work is because he's this old man in the desert telling it to Bradley Whitford.
Yeah.
And it could be all bullshit. And at the end, they even say it was discredited. So it's okay that none of this actually happened in real life because it could just be the ramblings of an old man who may or may not be the real Billy the Kid.
So
that's the whole mystery of Billy the Kid.
The first movie too, then.
Which is fine. I think that's totally fine because it doesn't matter. And when I said it's bullshit, it's magnificent bullshit. It's a way that they were able to make a sequel and not have to commit to anything. And if someone cries, oh, in continuity, that's the defense. It's like, well, it's an old man telling a story in the desert who may or may not be Billy the Kid. I think that's perfect, honestly.
I understand what you're saying. I think the execution of that whole idea in this was not great. Not just because of Emilio Estevez playing the old man. I think that was probably it wasn't a good choice because it just didn't lend itself to like the mystery of it all, in my opinion. But it's not even just that. It's like he's used this old man character is used as sort of a framing device for the whole movie and sort of just interjects at random points in the movie. And Emilio's old man voice is just so, in my opinion, laughable, and it's like distracting. Like
the makeup is better than the voice. I'll give it that much.
The makeup is pretty good, I gotta say. Because I remember the first time I saw this, I had to look at him for a second to realize that it was Emilio, and I was like, "Oh shit!" But yeah, I feel like it kind of, for me, it just undercut the whole like thing that we were trying to do with that. I don't know.
So I saw this movie when I was really young, the first time I saw it, and I didn't realize at first that was Emilio because dumb kid. But I'm with you, Antonio. I buy the whole unreliable narrator thing, and I always liked that. I even today, when you get an unreliable narrator in a story, for some reason that always gets me like excited about the movie. Like, hey, can we trust what's going on? Because we have no idea. And I think it adds a fun element to it, and maybe it adds to the fantastical nonsense that does go on, because you're like, can you trust the guy who's just feeding his own ego?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a good time, and I just love it. I really do. It's just
right. And that's why it's okay that it feels fantastical and like people shoot more bullets than there are in the gun, because we're in a story. This is literally like a fairy tale that this dude is telling. And I don't know. I think that's what really adds to his credibility. Credibility for Young Guns 2. Let's talk about this cast really fast, because it is crazy stacked in more ways than one.
Wild.
So yeah, we've got, of course, the originals coming back, but then we've got Balthazar Getty, we got Alan Ruck, we got Christian Slater, and then personal favorite of mine in this movie, William Petersen. To Live and Die in LA and Manhunter were probably his biggest credits at this point in time. And then he just became like a solid face because of CSI. But to like this day, that dude gives off daddy vibes, and he's giving off daddy vibes in this too.
With those mutton chops, I mean.
Those mutton chops and that beautiful mullet. But
God.
He's older than the rest, and historically that's correct. Like Pat Garrett was like twice the age of Billy the Kid, and this works. And he's very charming. But then you see people like Viggo Mortensen show up. That's cool. I always forget about that character. And then James Coburn shows up, and then Scott Wilson shows up. Like half the cast of Deadwood is in this movie.
That is true.
There's so many people and great actors, but there's so many of them that just show up and then disappear and are just like never seen again. And it's like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, that is kind of a problem. But then again, I think it fits with the Billy the Kid narrative that he's telling a fantastical story of like, once it stops being about Billy the Kid, then why do these people need to be in the story? Like, I kind of dig that.
Yeah, well, it also adds to, the unreliable narrator. If it's Billy telling the story, Billy's not going to give a shit about James Coburn.
Let's kind of go through the plot structure a little bit. So it kind of takes like a year or two after the first one. Doc Scurlock is in New York. Chavez apparently was out in the wilderness but got arrested. They're bringing everyone back of the Lincoln County War back to Nebraska to try them. Billy has his new gang, which Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh thinks is his gang. And I kind of like that little bumping heads, who's got the bigger penis game. And obviously, I mean, Emilio's shorter, but he's got the bigger dick energy for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I liked their back and forth a lot, too. I wish that there was more of that a little bit. Just because I like Christian Slater a lot. And yeah, I just liked their back and forth.
Well, I mean, so like, you don't have a Dirty Steve in this movie, so Christian Slater is like
a hot.
He's the Dirty Steve, but he's clean. He is like the only one that like washes himself throughout the movie. I like that part.
Oh God, rewatching Dirty Steve, and
he's got my favorite line, and probably in the whole franchise when they take peyote, and they're like, "Why aren't they doing anything? Because we're in the spirit world, asshole. They can't see us."
Dirty Steve is by far my favorite part of Young Guns 1 for sure. I mean,
insane.
He's a terrible person, but his character and the performance is a lot of fun.
I'm partial to Kiefer, 80s Kiefer with his floppy hair. I can't help it.
Who just wanders off to go get married eventually. Whatever. So the aftermath of the Lincoln County War, everyone's kind of brought back together, and Scott Wilson from Deadwood is the governor, and he's offering Billy a pardon if he testifies against like the Murphy gang. But it's a trap, and Billy gets sentenced to hang. Meanwhile, his gang comes back as a lynch mob, frees him, and they free Doc and Chavez, and the gang is back together again. The action in this movie, the scenes, I will say that they are very formulaic in the sense of like plot structure. Like there has to be an action scene at the end of every story motif. So sometimes I feel like that is a little bit overdone. Where like the first one, the action I feel is like very conveniently placed in the movie. So you get a nice action scene after some good narrative, but there is literally an action scene at every scene change of this film. And like a John Wick movie, that can get a little tiresome.
Yeah. And also I feel like the second movie didn't really have like the big like ending action piece. Like in the first one, they had the part where they're all holed up in the house and they're having sort of that standoff.
Right.
And the end of this movie kind of, I mean, I guess makes sense why, given the narrative, but like it sort of peters out in a different kind of way.
Well, our big action set piece towards the end is Doc's death. Doc gets the big emotional death.
Okay.
Right. But that's right in the middle of the movie.
Very upset. But yeah, like I remember the first time watching this movie, it was a bummer because I love Kiefer in the first movie, so when he died I was expecting it to be more of a like an epic moment, and the score let me down in that moment. I was like, you gotta really bring it in that kind of moment, and you didn't really. They brought it for Chavez though, which made me happy, but I was like, this is Doc, we can't just leave him here without a little send-off musically. No, nothing.
Well,
okay, fine, be that way.
Well, if you think about it, though, Doc didn't want this life. Doc was done with it. He was done. He was gone. And after finding out Billy had screwed him again.
Right.
It's just
the Mexican blackbird is not a thing.
Exactly. Like, it's just one of those things, like, this man cannot catch a break, that he just keeps getting looped in with Billy the Kid. And that's all he doesn't want.
Yeah.
I think there's something poetic, though, about it that Billy does say. You know, for being a 21-year-old punk, he does have some philosophies. And that is the fact that, like, Doc, you chose this life early on. The fact that you thought you could escape it makes you the fool, right? Like, they came out to New York and found you and brought you back. And there's no way you're getting back to New York. Your only way through this thing is to finish the game, which is like Doc's last line of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great scene. Like, he gets a good send-off line for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think when Scott said that Billy definitely matures in this movie, that's where it is. It's like he's no longer defending like the honor of Tunstall and the guys from the first one. It's all about a survival game. And in the meantime, he kind of has to butt heads with Arkansas Dave. He has to deal with the fact that Pat Garrett betrayed him. Like, there's a lot to it. I think the problem with the movie that we don't get as much of that emotional, we don't get enough of that emotional investment with these guys is because they do move the movie on really quickly. Like, they don't allow that story to develop. It's like, okay, on to the next scene, on to the next scene, on to the next scene. What did you guys think about the whorehouse scene?
I was bored to tears by that red-headed lady. I was like, please stop. Why are you talking so much? Like, you know, I wasn't vibing with it. The whole part where they have the back and forth with like the sheriff guy was fun. But
right. I wanted more of that.
That lady, I'm like, what is the point of you? And then of course she comes back towards the end for a little nice save for Billy, and I was like, okay, that's your purpose.
Well,
you didn't need a whole monologue for that.
Well, her point, and I honestly think her point, like, yes, there could have been more with her, but her point to the story is more to show how far Pat Garrett has fallen from the crew. Like,
I don't run with whores anymore.
Yeah, that whole tit for tat with the two of them is meant to be a lot more damning towards Pat Garrett. Like, because in Westerns, we tend to follow the bad guy or a guy who is morally dubious more than we follow the sheriff. So we root for the bad guy in more Westerns than we root for the good guy. And it's just one of those things, like, as you're watching it, we're meant to see that Pat Garrett, this is like, you are now the bad guy. Like, you used to be, hey, live free, you know, be the outlaw, have a good time, but, you know, do these things. But now you're the bad guy. You're coming in here and causing problems. You're burning down this place just because, what, Billy was here?
And
you've been a sheriff for like 3 days. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it brings a point that I have always had an issue with this movie, and I think it's the movie's major problem. The movie doesn't really have a proper villain, right?
No.
Like, yeah, it has like
the circumstance is the villain.
And then
yeah, like, at least you had Jack Palance in the first one as like the villain who is operating everything, right? And in this one, you're right. You've got like all these little mini villains. I guess you could say like the government is the villain.
Sure.
But I feel that that's another reason why this movie does feel kind of empty in some places, because who is the villain? And if you know enough about the Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid legend, you know, half the legend, half the fun of it is that Pat Garrett let him go and just pretended to kill him, right? That's the whole part of the Billy the Kid myth. So if you're already familiar with that, you're kind of in tune with the fact that maybe Pat Garrett isn't the villain. And a movie like this needs it needs a big bad guy that, even if he doesn't die at the end, is like the sense of ominous danger that's going to be coming towards these guys. And you're right. When you say there's no big climactic battle at the end, I think that's kind of the reason why, is that there's no big villain to fight. It's all about getting away.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been okay if we didn't paint Pat Garrett as the villain, because he's obviously torn emotionally with his relationship with Billy and like being quote unquote the law after 3 days. But
Right.
I feel like we could have did it where like he is essentially like a patsy for the governor or for Coburn or somebody else, but and had them be the big bad. But I feel like it falls flat because because they didn't really develop really Billy and Pat Garrett's friendship very much. They kind of just had like they introduced them in the beginning as being in the gang together, and then when we find out that he's the sheriff now, it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna, and then he like shoots the friggin' newspaper or whatever, Billy, but you don't really feel a whole lot behind that because you just, I don't know. I feel like you didn't really see a lot of their bond going into it.
I also think that it plays a little too much emotionally with us by spacing out the gang's deaths.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I like to talk about when I talk about this movie, or even in the first one, is I love how in the film The Dirty Dozen, like nobody dies until the big final battle where practically everyone dies at the end. This one, it's like first the kid dies, and then Doc dies, and then Chavez dies, and eventually Christian Slater dies. We don't see that death happen on screen, but like you space them out so much, you only have so much emotion, and it kind of waters down the ending, like you were talking about, where now the stakes don't seem as high because it's just Billy and potentially Pat Garrett hiding in the Mexican village. Okay, that's cool. It's a good way to tell Billy's story, but we've invested so much time and love in these characters, and then we're spacing out their deaths that we're kind of watering down I'd say the climactic battle, which never happens. So I agree with you on that, Frankie.
I also just think, and I mean, y'all are gonna yell at me, but it's fine. I'm fine. I can handle it. I just
I know.
feel I didn't buy into this big like emotional turning like for Billy, like, oh, he understands now and he feels guilt, and it's like, no, not really, because even in the final fucking interaction with Pat Garrett, he's putting it all on Pat, be like, you killed them and you killed the boy and all this shit. It's like, no, you did, dude.
Well,
and he's still like, you'll never be me, Pat Garrett. You'll just be the guy that killed Billy the Kid. It's like, you don't get it, dude.
Well, it's Billy's bravado,
right?
But
which is,
but that's all words at that
doesn't
point.
Leave a lot of room for genuine guilt, I don't think.
I think there is, because when you watch him, he's going through the motions before that. It's just kind of like he's holding it together, but because he is who he is, because he's bought into his own legend, he's Billy the Kid.
Mm-hmm.
He can't act any other way when his time has come to an end. He can't show that he's upset that he led all his friends to the slaughter. He is the big, bad Billy the Kid. And even though Pat Garrett's there to kill him, he is the legend, not Pat Garrett.
Right.
And though I do want to argue with Pat Garrett a little bit, because yes, I do wish William Petersen did a little better being conflicted versus being focused at chasing down Billy.
Yeah, they didn't really focus a lot on the conflict.
I would have liked that. Honestly, I don't know how much of a gamer you are, Antonio, but John Marston in Red Dead Redemption does that character really well. The one who's conflicted because he's forced to go after his own gang to try and get freedom from the government. So, like, that character is what Pat Garrett's character should have been.
I agree. It's just hard because it's not his movie. But if it was his movie, it would give him more time to have that. And, oh, God, see, that's the other issue, too. Like, I feel that Young Guns 1 does this better, where it does handle a film with so many characters and so many great performances better than this one does, because this one has to like kind of close the book on these people, right? And that's the problem, is like you've only got roughly 2 hours to close the book on 7 characters. Meanwhile, not taking away from the main one. Yeah, it's definitely an issue. But I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, we definitely needed to cut back on the characters. We could have cut Alan Ruck out completely. We could have cut the redhead girl out. We could have cut... I mean, really, we could have cut out Christian Slater. I mean, I hate to say that, but like, what did he... Like, we could have focused so much more on these other people that we actually already knew and cared about. And like, yes, it would have been a smaller story, and yes, it would probably maybe not as like historically accurate. I don't freaking know, but who cares about that? Tell a better story.
Right. I mean, like the only 2 characters that died in real life in this movie of murder or being killed by the law is Billy and Dave Radabaugh in Mexico. The others lived in real life.
They
like
didn't
again,
even show that. I was so when we rewatched it, I was like, oh, and this is because he shows up in Mexico and he's talking to these 2 guys. I'm like, oh, this is where he gets killed. And they didn't do... I was like, oh, I thought he gets killed here. And no, it was just like a text.
You just see the guy like sharpening his machete. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, I almost thought that like
Balthazar Getty's character also actually dies in real life as well.
Which that was a
right.
great scene.
Yeah. But again, I think Balthazar Getty does a really good job, and I think it's an underrated job.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
I think so.
It's so hard because he's like, oh, you meet your idol, and now you're these whole things.
I think for that, Billy genuinely felt guilty because there's no way around the fact that like this was just a kid from the sticks and you pulled him into the... Like you personally were like, oh no, this guy is ours now. So you definitely can't get out of knowing that you did that.
Well, again, that's the start of all of it crumbling. Like that's that.
Yeah, but then we kind of rushed through the rest of it, and we're supposed to... He's in like fake tears at the end talking to Alan Ruck, and we're supposed to feel bad. Like, well, I don't know.
Oh, well, he has
I love that scene. That's like my favorite scene. Get off of me.
Yeah. Well, he has that, and then it's just like, if that doesn't happen, he doesn't admit to Doc that there is no trail.
True. 100%.
So,
and then he doesn't storm out of the freaking thing
and get
shot to bits. So ultimately, it doesn't matter. It's all his fault anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think it hits him, and then and then finally when he gets free again, like you start seeing things like when he doesn't want to shoot the deputy, and like he's
sorry,
like
that's a song in my head.
Exactly. Like he points the gun at him and like says, "Oh, I'll make you famous," and he's like, "Don't do it,
don't do it, Bob, don't do
it." And
what a prince! He hesitated.
Well, yeah, but if you watch
before murdering a man.
Well, if you watched earlier in the movie, he wouldn't have hesitated.
No, I get what you're saying, but I mean that's that. All I'm saying is that it's weak. It's a weak sauce fucking emotional journey this guy went on. That's all I'm saying.
I think it was rushed. I don't think it's weak. I think it's rushed.
But it's the same. We're saying the same thing. It's rushed, therefore it's weak.
I think the character, though, is what at least guys resonate with, right? Like, Scott and I would never get in like a gunfight with anybody, but we will live vicariously through Billy the Kid and be like, yeah, Billy, you know? And I feel the same way watching this movie at 44 years old as I did when I was like 10 when it came out, right? I get that same like little boost of energy. The song helps a lot too.
Oh, the song's dope. Yeah.
And Emilio is one of those actors where it's like, he's not a sex symbol, right? He's not a Tom Cruise or a Rob Lowe, but he's not really a full comedian either. No. He's just an actor that like has a likable energy. And that's one of the most baffling things about him. I think that's why like his career was always kind of up and down. It's because it's hard to place Emilio in a certain stereotype. You know, he's not the heartthrob. He's not really the action star either. Billy the Kid is probably everyone's favorite role of his because it really fits what this guy was.
Well, it also doesn't help that he's probably outshined by his brother.
Well, I was going to say, maybe at least for a while, Charlie Sheen had a similar thing going on, and then he kind of had the bad boy vibe going, and then he Charlie Sheened himself to death into oblivion. But, like, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Also, Emilio's got that smile that like
he's like a charming.
He's just charming.
He's charming, but that smile is because we just also watched St. Elmo's Fire recently.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I saw Frankie posting all about it.
Jesus Christ.
And he has kind of like similar moments with that smile.
Weirdly, I think his character in St. Elmo's is worse than Billy the Kid.
Oh, I agree. I agree
insane.
100%. Well, and to me, I can't wait to hear that episode. But to me, I think the funniest thing about St. Elmo's Fire is like you've got Rob Lowe, like probably the most bangable dude of the 80s.
Sure.
And then you've got Andrew McCarthy and Emilio Estevez like beta cucking throughout the whole movie, right?
1000%.
But anyway, that's a different conversation.
And then Judd Nelson playing his character in Breakfast Club just in a suit
with glasses.
Yeah, it's like Jesus Christ.
The term beta cucking.
You're welcome, Scott. Oh man. What were we talking about?
We're on Young Guns 2 right
Emilio.
now. So anyway, so let's do some closing thoughts because we're going to talk about like maybe some recasting stuff. And then I definitely want to talk about what the younger generations think of this movie who've discovered it over the last few years. But final thoughts on this movie for me, I'll go first. I'm sure Scott and I have a very similar opinion on this. Like, this movie is just fun. It's nostalgia. It's a dude hangout movie, right? I'm not expecting Frankie to like this movie. I'm not expecting like my romantic partners to like this movie. This is a movie that like I will watch by myself whenever, but I'm never going to show it to someone and say, you have to watch Young Guns 2. It'll change your life.
Yeah, same page. I think I've watched this movie. It's probably one of those movies, if I had to like really count from like when I first saw it to now, it's one of those movies I've probably watched the most in my lifetime.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot for me, but I wouldn't put it that high.
It's
That's pretty well.
It's close. It's like if there's other ones that that come to mind, like My Cousin Vinny, Major League, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I've watched a whole hell of a lot, but this is up there somewhere in probably my top 15 movies I've watched all time, the most amount of times.
For the 90s, for me especially, like this was a VHS that was just worn out in the 90s for me.
Yeah, but like I love this movie. I just love Young Guns, and they're fun. And as much as like people, I assume, think it's goofy now or don't like connect as well, it just sits right in my wheelhouse. And I could, if I caught this movie on TV randomly at any point, I could probably just sit and watch the rest of the movie from wherever I caught it on from.
100%. Me too. I mean, remember when they tried to kind of recapture that energy? I want to say like in the late 90s, early 2000s, Richard Linklater did The Newton Boys, and it had Matthew McConaughey and Skeet Ulrich and all those, late 90s Brat Pack dudes. Couldn't even touch this franchise.
No, not even a little bit. And yes, it's goofy. It's fun though. That's the thing. It's a fun movie, and that's what you need with this movie. You don't need it to be Unforgiven.
Definitely not Unforgiven.
No, certainly not. Jesus.
But like, you need it just to be a fun movie, and that's what was good. That's what it is.
Yeah. I'll say, listen, I've been the dark horse in this conversation.
The voice of reason.
I know I've talked a lot of shit, but like, I actually do like both of these movies. They're not my favorite movies or anything, but I enjoy them because, like you guys have been saying, like there's some crazy fuckery in these movies, but there is a lot of fun to be had. Both genuine fun and ironic, like let's make fun of this movie fun. For me anyway, which I enjoy and I get a kick out of it, and we love a good floppy hair 80s Kiefer Sutherland. That rocks. So yeah, like on it, like, and watching it with Scott is fun because Scott is Scott and Scott is very passionate and fun when he's into a movie. Like, it's fun watching movies with him. That's why we have a whole podcast about it.
Right.
So, yeah, like, is it my favorite? No. But if it was on TV, I'd probably watch it with Scott and just like have a time. Do I think Billy the Kid is a sociopath? 100%.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean,
they made being a sociopath kind of cool in these movies.
Sure.
Well, to be fair,
whatever you guys say.
To be fair, a lot of 90s movies had sociopaths.
Yeah, the bad boys, right?
The bad boy,
boys.
Sure, okay.
or the one who's like bucking this. Like, look at Ferris Bueller. Ferris Bueller's a bit of a sociopath.
Oh, I know. We said that too. We reviewed that movie. I said this guy's a fucking sociopath. Why do we want to be him? That's weird.
Right. John Bender, 100%, right?
Yes.
All right. So I was curious about like what the younger generation thinks of this movie. So I hopped on Letterboxd and I grabbed a few, 1-2 line reviews from the youngest looking people I could find in their profile pictures. And let's just say I wasn't disappointed. So we have a review from Quail Higgins who gave this 5 stars. And the review was simply sadder and gayer than the first one.
Not wrong.
Not wrong.
That's,
Not wrong in the slightest.
Not at all. Let's see, this is Art Lopez, gave it 3 stars. Watch this while bartending, and it's just as much of a twink fest as the first. However, William Petersen is here with total mutton chop daddy vibes. Again, something we already said. Like, he is giving that. I just think it's hilarious. The younger generation is really putting the gay in this movie, and I've never felt that way at all.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get over like any kind of subtext, but I mean,
but
hey.
Well, you also got to think about like Westerns before this were very gritty and like dirty. Right. Everybody in these movies is very pretty.
Oh, for sure.
Like Emilio's good looking. Kiefer is
damn
good looking.
Lou
Diamond Phillips
damn
is good looking.
Christian Slater somehow found like hair product
I love
in the Old West in every scene.
Him and Heather's?
Yeah.
Please.
Right.
Get out of here.
This one might be my favorite review. This is from Samantha. And the review is the movie Blades of Glory with Will Ferrell based on the name of the song from this film?
If y'all don't get... okay. Get out.
So
y'all
bad.
should be ashamed.
If there was ever a Gen Z review for a film, that was it.
Insane.
And then lastly, my favorite from Hors Dwarves. That's HWHORV Dwarves. Emilio Estevez is short as fuck. Was their review for this movie. Totally is. He's like 5'3" or something. Everyone thinks that Tom Cruise is super short. That dude is short.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we were going to try recasting this movie. And here's the thing that's funny. So for one, we kind of talked about it already. Emilio Estevez has been out there for 5-6 years, maybe longer, saying, I'm going to do Young Guns 3. And he wants to bring everyone back, which again, if Young Guns 2 is revisionist history, like we were talking about, then what is to stop him from bringing the Young Guns back?
Perhaps the fact that Chavez went off on the fucking spirit horse. He's like, oh, but he didn't die on camera. Bitch, I saw a spirit horse.
Yeah, but it was in the story, right? Like, this guy's telling a story. If they can make Maverick 30 years later, and I hear they're going to do a Coal Trickle 2, they're going to do Days of Thunder 2 is in the works. If they can do that, then they can do Young Guns 3. I'm sorry.
They're just going to reincarnate them in the future. It's just going to be a future sci-fi shooter.
Right.
I'd be down, but like, I don't know. I don't know how well it would do. That's the thing. Because I don't think
does
most
anyone
people
really want it is the question. And you made a good point earlier. You said, is it better as a remake or as a legacy sequel?
And I think because modern Westerns aren't like, when they come around, they're pretty dope. Like the last one I remember is Harder They Fall, and that was pretty great. And the good thing about it is that like Westerns really aren't dime a dozen anymore.
Well,
so like you could do that, and it would probably do really well.
Well, yeah, you gotta think the last couple of westerns. You have like Hard Day Fall, No Country for Old Men,
Django and Hateful Eight.
Django, great.
The other Quentin who I can't think
Hateful
of.
Eight.
Hateful Eight. So like, there's. Yeah, it's better now because they are like every 310 to Yuma.
Bone Tomahawk. Nice way to kind of like split the two.
I still have to show Scott Bone Tomahawk.
So there's a lot of great westerns, but yeah, they aren't as frequent as they were when in like the 70s.
Sure.
We did a recast of Popeye. We're gonna keep it the same as a musical, same songs and everything. We just recast it. I think in the end of the day, we were like split between whether or not we wanted The Rock or Zac Efron to play Popeye. And
which is an insane.
And then we said Jack Black as Bluto, which I still stand by.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Did you guys have any recasting ideas for any of the characters in this movie?
Okay, so I literally recasted every character from the first and second movie.
Oh boy. Okay, I only did the main ones. I did the main 7 in this one. I did Billy, as many Chavez, as I could, Doc,
because I was like, I wanted to have fun with it, but like,
yeah, I'm
I was trying to figure stuff out. Like Billy was tough because I don't feel like there's that sociopathic like actor who has that smile and that Emilio Estevez kind of thing.
Yeah,
but I went with Thomas Brody Sangster,
who's the kid from Love Actually.
The kid from Love Actually, Maze Runner, and he's Ferb on Phineas and Ferb.
What? Thank God.
But like, I don't know. I feel like he looks young enough, and I think he could pull off like Billy the Kid. But like, it's just an interesting like kind of dynamic with him. He was tough to like him. Chavez was tough too because I don't know a ton of Native American actors,
right,
that aren't way older.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
Frankie, did you have one for Billy the Kid?
I don't know. It was tough. When we did it, the Young Guns episode, we did it back in 2022. Yeah. We did a fan cast at that time, and I had Tom Holland, but I feel like that's such a basic answer now. We can't, like, it's just so basic and boring.
And then there's like fan trailers with Chalamet, and I'm like, go fuck
yourself. He saw that. He was like, yeah, I have to watch this. I'm like, please don't. Please. Because I like Chalamet, but I'm like, no, I don't see
not
that
as Billy the
working
Kid.
at
Like,
all.
he's done enough. He can't be Paul Atreides and Billy the Kid, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
I put Fred Heschinger, who is the kid who played Quinn in the first season of White Lotus. I'm not sure if you guys watched White Lotus the first season, but he kind of plays like this ADHD kind of kid who like hates everyone. But at the end of the first season, he starts to have like this happiness mixed with his ADHD, and he shows like some manic behaviors. And I think that you could probably improve on that with the charm. I like the kid a lot. So it's a deep cut, but I agree with Scott. That was the hardest one for me to cast.
Scott, look at this kid. He looks like he could kill you in your sleep.
Yeah,
and be really hot while doing it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I went to Doc next.
Okay, cool.
Okay, you go. You're Doc.
So I had 2 possible choices, but I'll go with my first one. I went with Paul Mescal.
Dude, that's who I picked too.
I love Paul Mescal, but I was like, I don't know. I said Cooper Hoffman because I just think he's like a cutesy, like floppy hair, like very artsy type looking dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, he gives off young, dumb, and in love, you know.
Yeah, but I think Paul Mescal can pull that too.
Oh, absolutely! I love Paul Mescal.
Yeah. Did you guys see that movie After Sun?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I
thought he was great
bitch.
in that. Yeah.
Frankie cried basically the rest of the
for
night.
like a good hour or two. I was just sobbing. He's so good. Yeah, I would push with you guys for Paul Mescal because I think he's fucking great.
And I just think he fit also like. Again, there's also like an age range you want to kind of fit. I'm surprised. I didn't realize he's only 28. I thought he was much older.
I thought he was older. He looks older, but Doc is okay to look older. Like, he has like the maturity of the group for sure. Frankie, did you have a Doc?
That Cooper Hoffman.
Oh yeah, Cooper Hoffman. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Chavez. I'll go ahead and just say my Chavez. So did you guys see the movie Prey, the Predator prequel? Yes. So the brother character was played by a guy named Dakota Beavers, and I thought he was so good in that movie.
He was good.
And that's who I put as my Chavez, was Dakota Beavers from Prey.
That is a really good one. I didn't even think about him. I should have, because I thought of Prey, and like the only character I remembered off the top of my head was, of course, the main character. And I was like, I can't I'm like, we're going to kind of keep race and sex. This is kind of the same. I ended up going with Forrest Goodluck from The Revenant.
Okay, yeah, I see that 100%.
And he, just watching him in interviews, I'm like, I looked at him, I'm like, he kind of looks a little like a young Lou Diamond Phillips. So I'm like,
oh, I'm looking at him now. I could see it totally, yeah.
Like, it just like, I was like, he kind of looks just a little bit with the hair slicked back. I'm like, you could pull off Lou Diamond if you really wanted to.
Yeah. The only one I could think of was, I'm going to say his name wrong, I'm sure, but Zolo Maraduena, who is, he's in Cobra Kai, and he did the Blue Beetle movie, which obviously that movie was shit, but he did pretty good in it.
I mean, he did well enough in Cobra Kai to get a movie, right?
Yeah. But I liked him a lot.
What about Arkansas Dave?
I have Joe Keery.
Oh, okay. I had him for another part.
I love Joe Keery. I feel like he would kill that. Like, just like the snark and sarcasm, and like he would kill that for sure.
Oh God. I had Paul Dano.
Oh,
interesting.
He's like a Dirty Steve, though. I feel like more than
he could play. He could. I'm surprised I didn't have him on my list. For that role, I put Skylar Gisondo, who
Why do I know who that is?
So he's from The Righteous Gemstones. He's the oldest son. He was in the Vacation remake. He's going to be playing Jimmy Olsen in the new Superman movie.
Yes.
But the reason why I put him as Arkansas Dave is because he plays like a real snide character in Licorice Pizza, and that's where I feel he could get like that turncoat character into the movie. So that's why I cast him.
I get what you're saying.
As
Yeah.
Arkansas
God,
Dave.
Licorice Pizza. That movie.
I didn't like that movie either.
Right.
But I like Cooper Hoffman. That's why I picked him for Doc, but that's fine. Yeah.
All right. How about Tom O'Fallard?
The Prince of Pennsylvania.
Oh, baby.
I went with Owen Ficarro. He's from the Jack Black movie Clock in the Walls, and he's also in Daddy's Home.
Oh dear.
He's the son in both the first and second one. I just kind of went with a younger guy who had some acting chops, so it's like, okay, he kind of works here.
I went with Owen Cooper from the show Adolescence on Netflix, and he's super intense in that show, but I figure if he has the acting chops to be that intense, then he has the acting chops to be a little bit more innocent and tender-footed, like that character's supposed to be. And he's young, and it has to be a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, mine might be a little too old, but I went with him anyway because I feel like he's just like the top tier young actor. I went with Jacob Tremblay. Because I'm like, that kid can cry and die better than any kid actor I've ever seen. You ever seen Dr. Sleep?
Yeah, I was trying to find a part for him in this movie, and I'm like, maybe he's just too good to be in this movie. He's really good. He's really fucking good.
Yeah.
He's insanely good.
Okay, Henry William French. Who do we got for Henry?
I couldn't think of anybody.
Now
we'll just have Alan Ruck do it again.
Yeah, it was just Alan Ruck.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
This is where I had Joe Keery.
Oh yeah. I mean, yes, but I feel like the only thing I would say is I feel like Joe Keery deserves a little more oomph. He deserves a little more screen time.
Maybe, but I don't know. The farmer turned outlaw who really doesn't know what he's doing. I kind of can get that with Joe Keery here because I feel like he does that. Like I just kind of thrown into the mix of like monsters in oh my God, what's the show?
Stranger
Things. Sorry, just blanked on that so bad right now. So that's where I went.
Yeah, I get that. I think that the character's supposed to be a little bit older, and so I put Jacob Elordi in that role. He's really good looking, but if you kind of like ugly him up, he's tall, he's lanky, and he looks like he doesn't belong, and that's the whole point of that character is that he's not really a young gun, and he kind of takes off at the end, you know? And I love that scene where he's like, my name's not Buckshot George, it's William Henry French, or Henry William French. So
Yes.
yeah, that's why I put him on there.
That was a good moment, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Jacob Elordi is like a tree of a man, so that would make sense.
All right, and then the last one for this movie before Scott gets to do his fan casting for the first one is who's playing Pat Garrett?
I have you go first.
Okay. I have two possibilities, and I like both of them. I ended up I'm 50-50. I either have Taron Egerton or Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Nice.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Because Aaron Taylor Johnson, especially with his work on like Bullet Train,
he's matured, right? Like he's definitely matured as an actor.
And I really like Taron in anything he really does.
True, he's great in everything.
So
yeah, little small, but I mean,
he's also built and he's a strong-looking guy. Aaron Taylor Johnson is definitely taller.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He really impressed me. I mean, I did not like the Christopher Nolan movie with the time stuff.
Oh my
I always forget what
God.
that movie's called because I didn't like
Die.
it. But I liked his character in it. Like I liked his performance. Very mature performance. I put Barry Keoghan as Pat Garrett.
That's fun.
You know, I like the fact that he's a little he's got that ugly handsome going on.
So I had two also. I couldn't really pick one because I think they're both pretty decent. I have Jesse Plemons. And then I have Lakeith Stanfield. I feel like they both give like lawman / bad boy turned lawman vibes.
Ooh, that's really good. I was really trying to find a role that could be a mixed race or interracial casting, and that's a perfect actor for it. I was having a hard time because I was like, I don't know enough of the history. Like, I don't want people to get upset of like, oh, we're just changing the races of characters now. I'm like, okay, well, you know, again, we could go with the revisionist history excuse.
For sure. But yeah, I didn't want to just, like you were saying, like do it like it was a gimmick or something. I wanted it to make sense. And I feel like Lakeith makes sense in a role like that. But yeah, I think Jesse Plemons would also be good too, because he's in multiple movies, especially like over the past 5 years. I want to say like he's played like the kind of stoic lawman that's sort of got stone face, but maybe is hiding a bunch of shit underneath. So I feel like that would also be great for him.
No, agreed. Okay, Scott, we're gonna let you take the floor now and recast your characters from the first one.
Just Dirty Steve, I have as Dacre Montgomery.
Dacre
Montgomery. He was the Red Ranger in Power Rangers. Tunstall, I have as Sean.
Oh, he's the bad guy from Stranger Things too, right?
Yes,
Billy?
he was also in Stranger Things.
Oh, dude, he is good. I didn't think about that guy. That's a great.
Tunstall, I have as Sean Bean.
Okay.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
I like that too.
And he dies, so it works perfectly.
He's staying on brand.
Yeah, I mean, he has to die.
Dick, I have as Jack Quaid.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, Jack Quaid's getting some good roles lately, and we need more for sure.
Charlie, I have as Jeremy Allen White.
I had him too, because I didn't know if we were going to talk about first movie either. So I put Jeremy Allen White for either, I think Charlie or Dick.
He could work as Dick too.
Yeah.
Murphy, I have as either Brendan Gleeson or Pierce Brosnan.
Ooh, either would work.
And I almost wanted to go Pierce Brosnan because having him and Sean Bean play off each other again, like in GoldenEye, would be fun.
That would be really funny.
Right. Have 006 and 007 back together again. I love that.
Alex, I have as Paul Bettany.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
McCloskey, I have as Richard Harmon from Bloodlines.
Who's that again?
He's the tattoo artist with all the piercings in Bloodlines.
No, I meant.
Oh, McCloskey. McCloskey's the traitor who's like.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. No, fuck him. Yeah, let's do that. That's funny.
I should have sniffed you out sooner.
I love it.
Bang.
That's funny.
I mean, so at the end of the day, I love this movie. Scott loves this movie. Frankie enjoys the Young Guns movies, but she's not going to subscribe to the fact that this is one of the best movies of the 90s by any means.
I feel like that's very fair of me.
Yes, it's very fair. We need the contrarian, right? We all can't agree, or else the podcast isn't any fun. So
yeah. And just to give context, I could write a dissertation, no bullshit, about the cinematic integrity of Spice World. So take what I say with a big old grain of salt.
Not to mention the fact that you're the reason why I've been on your show to do Grease 2 and The Wiz. So
listen, I don't love either of those movies, but they're fun to make fun of. Therefore, I'm here for the tea.
You could also probably do a dissertation of when Kiefer cut his hair, he automatically lost all his hotness.
So much less attractive. The beard left, we lost a little bit, and then once we got to 24, Kiefer, it was all gone for me, man. I'm like, God damn it.
I will go on record saying that maybe apart from 90s Mel Gibson and Kurt Russell, Kiefer just looks better with the mullet, right? He does. He made that mullet work for him through the 80s and 90s.
Absolutely.
All right, good stuff. All right, guys, great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me on this. If there ever is a Young Guns 3, we'll have to jump back on and talk about it, but
definitely.
Yes.
And so everyone stay
that
tuned.
Both scares and excites me.
Everyone stay tuned for their episode on Superman 2, which like I said is coming out after this one. So if you're a big fan of underrated sequels, listen to mine, then check theirs out in a couple weeks. And what else you guys got coming up on Shoot the Flick besides my Superman 2 guest spot?
Well, what else we got coming?
Well, so we have, depending on when this comes out, we're releasing an episode on 28 Days Later.
Yes, in prep for that sequel that's coming.
We have a mini makeshift superhero month.
Yeah, well, with Superman 2, and then also there's another big superhero movie coming out in July, so we're going to talk about something having to do with that. So it's going to be interesting.
Sounds great. You can find them anywhere where you find your podcasts, or you can find them on my Cultworthy Partners page on thecultworthy.com. And guys, let's not wait a year to do this again, all right? Let's
yes, please.
Maybe around the holidays we can get some good kind of culty Christmas shit.
Yay!
Oh yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, that does sound fun.
Awesome. All right.
I'm sure we can find some fun movies in there.
Oh, I'm gonna find some.
Oh, she'll find some.
I'm gonna find something terrible.
Right.
No, I'm kidding.
We'll talk.
No,
we'll
I'll try
talk
to find
offline.
something actually good this time.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching, listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars on YouTube, and like I said, your favorite podcast catchers. That was Scott. That was Frankie from Shoot the Flick. I'm Antonio the Cultworthy, and I will see you later.